All right. This is the second take, not like you'll know that, because I actually forgot to do something. Why modern competitive bodybuilding sucks. I actually did a video about this many years ago on YouTube. And I think it got like over 100,000, 200,000, 300,000. It was good, but anyway. And now there's a lot of talk about this because of Dorian and Ronnie and all them saying it. And it's just a fact. But let me clarify this. It's not modern bodybuilding sucks. Modern competitive bodybuilding in America sucks. Because you get on YouTube, you go on Instagram, and you see competitions from overseas, and from what I'm hearing from everybody, and Australia, Middle East, wow. But you look at the Mr. O's, or, you know, and they look like a normal person back in the 80s or 90s, which means they're only looks 12 weeks out. Not all of them, but for the most part, yeah. And why they're not getting grainy, shredded, here's my few takes on the thing. And everyone's has a really good point. I agree with everyone. Dexter Jackson really hasn't changed in, what, 40 years of lifting? And he's winning top 5, but was barely in the top 20 or 30 back then. So what's that tell you? You look at pictures, look at, the videos are harder to find, but you can look and just see there's a huge difference. Why they're not getting grainy enough? I think the number one thing, I don't know if it's the number one thing, is they're relying too much on coaching. And I never understood that, because back in the day, really nobody had coaches. That was a thing. And what I'm talking about is I was teenage nationals with Jay Cutler and all in the early 90s, 80s. Coaching really didn't come popular until, I guess, maybe late 90s, or a little bit you heard about it in 2000. We all laughed about it. Because how can you have a complete stranger know exactly what to do with you? Only you know your own body, and there's really not much to it. And you got to figure out what proteins work for you, what carbs work for you, and everything. And that we'll touch on next is the food. It's another big thing. So I think you're relying too much on a coach to do everything. Food. The food quality is not like it was back in the 80s and 90s. And I won't touch on that too much because it's liability for me, because I'm in the food industry. Tilapia. I would never eat tilapia. You know, back in the day we didn't have that. You know, people mainly had like the cod and the haddock and other cheap fish. I never did. Back in the day, we hardly ever ate chicken. It was, you know, a lot of different steaks. Game meat was more popular now, but a lot of steak. Everyone ate just steak. And I think that's another thing, and I know it's a fact because I have friends that have helped people coaching switch up their diet from that stupid chicken into steak or game meat, and totally transformed. I think a lot of it's genetics, in that a lot of these guys, their waists are real blocky. Even if, you know, not just necessarily the bloated gut from eating too much, not the drugs, from eating too much, but it's just the blockiness. And I think they're just trying to put on too much size in too quick of a time to do it. They don't have the genetics necessarily to be big. Now I know you can look at Flex and Dorian were skinny little ones. They weren't like someone like Dennis Newman or Sean Ray or Jorge Bencourt. I'm just trying to think old school people. Oh God, Gaspar. What's Gaspar do? If you research teenage nationals, Jay Cutler, not even Ronnie Coleman. Ronnie Coleman, holy shit, when he was natural, would destroy every single Mr. Olympia on there. And when he was naturally, what was he, 235, shredded to the bone? Yeah, he's tall like me at 6 foot, where but look at that. So it's just a blockiness, and I just think they're trying to get too big too quick. But again, I know I've touched this space. You look overseas, they're doing it. Now the other thing is trying to bring it that day of the show, or trying to bring it in the last 2-3 weeks. And that's when you're on your deathbed. And I know so many guys that for a stupid level 1 local show, to win that stupid ass 99-cent trophy, thyroid, kidney, I mean, kidney issues, just destroyed their bodies, intestinal issues, so many, just doing stupid drugs that aren't natural to us, diuretics, the thyroid stuff. Damn, I mean, that was the stupidest thing. The water depletion and everything, and then whatever is happening, it hurts a lot of people. And I think maybe they're just afraid to do it right now. Maybe. Again, relying on the coaches too much, and I think that's another problem, because when you know your body. Now, as far as for the training, I hear this a lot, and from what I see on the videos, I don't think they're training as intense, because back in the day, I just watched another video, and it was someone else, and they're talking about the machines. That's another huge thing. Machines are fine for the most part, and for certain things, but for a competitive bodybuilder, you're trying to put on size or whatever, you got to use free weights. Cable crossovers are fine, dips, your own body weight. Machines, we prove that. We did studies on ourselves, friends, everything way back when there was hardly any machines in the gym. You'd walk into a gym, let me just put it in perspective, and I think there's another thing, it's a lot of this is up here, because from a buddy went out to my age, an old man like me, went out to Venice, the Golds, and goes, man, no one's lifting. Everybody's on this stupid thing, that's every gym. And there's a lot of big boys in there, and they're just doing this the whole time, talking, not even lifting. Now, to jump back, there was several pro bodybuilders back in the day that were known to do that too, and I actually trained with some of them, and they were just freaks. So, just trying to show both sides of this, but I don't think the training's as hard, and I think a lot of it is when you go into the gym, you don't have the competition like you used to. What I mean is, when you went into the gym in the 90s, everybody was ginormous. Everybody was shredded. Everybody was just sweating and just super intense. You'd be hurting 24/7 because you were training so hard, so much. And I think very few people have that intensity anymore, even the pros. And, I saw one, they're putting these electrodes on and trying to lift, and I don't know, a lot of us old timers just think it's funny. So, when you go into the gym, how many of you even see a 100-pound dumbbell, or anything over a 100-pound dumbbell in your gym? A lot of gyms only have 50 or 60 pounds. Well, for me, even though I don't touch them much anymore, if I was trying to be a pro bodybuilder or lift, well, what's the motivation of that? Oh, you can't deadlift, you can't do this. My gym is, I'm not supposed to like shoulder press in the squat rack area or whatever. Really? I mean, it's just, and that just messes, and that little things like that mess with your head. And the other thing is, I'm just trying to explain where I'm coming from, and just in the mentality of probably what's in a current people's head. It's, you hardly ever wear a tank top in the gym, and if you're a little guy, you had to be almost invited to be in the free weight area, and it was an honor to be in the free weight area, and you'd be lifting. Their motivation would be unbelievable. And again, I don't think the motivation's there. So other people have touched on social media. I guess it can get in your head. We didn't have it back then. Nobody ever took pictures. We still don't take pictures in the gym, and I'm supposed to for my Instagram account, which I don't ever use. But not like I'm impressed anymore. But I guess I can get in your head. You got to be this, and this all year round. And you know, Dennis Newman touched base that now there's like 300 pro cards given out, which is true. I mean, you go on Instagram, everybody's a pro bodybuilder or pro this, pro that, pro that, which is good and bad. I think they shouldn't hand out so many, but I understand from a business point, it's smart. But back in the day, for you to get your pro card was, was an impossibility. And I know that really messed up a lot of people in the head. I personally know these people, not to mention names, that they should have won, they didn't win. And if they would have handed out more, it'd be awesome. And then the competition would have even been better in the Night of Champions, which I don't think they have anymore. The Ironman class, they don't have any more. You know, Arnold was always pretty good, still is. So again, if they would have had more pro cards given out back then, not so restricted, be better. Now I think it's just too easy to get a pro card. Just step on stage. As far as for the millennial mentality, I think that's a lot of it. It's just laziness. Again, from what I heard, I know I just touched on it, the lifting, it's not I don't want to eat much, I'll just do this. I think they cheat too much on their meals from what I'm hearing. And again, I don't know if I touched base on, I trained with a lot of pro bodybuilders, Mr. Olympia's, upcoming nationals. People always competed in the nationals, all through a little bit in the 80s. I was really young then, because I was born in 1975. All through the 90s. Pretty by the early 2000s, I stopped. I just moved out to Colorado in the early 2000s, so I did train with a few there, but anyway, so I know how the old ones do. I don't really know how much the new ones do. I really just watch on TV, you know, I watch YouTube on my TV, hear through the grapevine or whatever. As far as for the drugs, I don't think I touched on this. I think they're probably relying too much on drugs. The drugs, from what I'm hearing, suck nowadays from people that have been using drugs for 20, 30 years. It's all fake. We also had stuff that's non-existent anymore, and that could be partially it, but I just don't think the average person, from what I'm hearing, is they just don't want to go that last 2 weeks, few days for a show, which is absolute hell. Been there, done that, so I know that, you know, everything's shutting down and it's too painful. But like I said, they're doing it in other countries, you know, Australia, Middle East, Europe. You can go see it. And like I said, again, there's a lot of people in America. They're just not bringing it to the competitive side of bodybuilding. So again, competitive bodybuilding sucks in this country, but the classic physique is awesome. So there's my take on it. Feel free to comment below. Let's start a conversation going. I think that's really about it for today.